Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to the final Career Speaker Series event of the spring semester 2020. Welcome. We're so glad you're with us. As you come into the room, if you would, please use the Q&A feature to let us know where you're logging in from, your class year, and your major, or majors, plural. That'll help us think through some questions and direct questions to particular people on the panel tonight. Let's see who's here. Welcome, Dr. C, Chloe, Langdon, Louise, Mora, welcome. Mariah, Peter, Turin, great to have you with us. I recognize a lot of those names. Thank you for joining us often on Tuesday nights. Hope this finds you and your families all well and safe. Thank you, Mariah. I have a couple of good friends from my days at Keene State from Raymond, cross-country teammate of mine and a fraternity brother. Thanks, Torin. Hi, Maura. So if you would, if you're just coming into the room, if you could let us know where you're logging in from, your class year and your major, majors plural, minors, all that. We'd love to get to know who's with us each night. Again, if you're just coming in, got a neighbor from Walpole. I'm in Alstead, next door. Welcome everyone again. Thanks for being with us. I hope this finds you well, safe, end of the semester going well. We'll get started at about 6:05. I've been finding that there's a little transition time for some, so don't want anyone to miss any of the wisdom that the four panelists tonight will share with you. I can see we've got a few new people in the room. If you don't mind, if you would, please share your where you're logging in from. Love to see the diversity of where people are living these days, and your class year and your major. Oops. Clock. We'll give it 3 more minutes. I know, especially you biology students are on Twitter. I'm at KSC External REL for relations. I walked campus just a while ago and the flowers and trees are blossoming. It's just beautiful. So I posted a few pictures to my Twitter feed. You can check that out later. Good, nice turnout. Thank you everyone for being here. This will be a nice summary of the entire semester's career speaker series tonight. So we'll have some of your peers telling you what they took away from one, many, or all of the events. I think there were a lot of themes that ran through them, and we'll you'll all benefit from some of the key takeaways from some of your fellow Keene State Owls. All right, 30 seconds. Let a couple more people come on in. Again, if you just entered the room, if you could let us know where you're logging in from, your class year, and your majors, plural, minors. Love to know what you're up to. All right, let me get started. So as I said, Misty, if you don't mind going to the second slide, that would be great. I just wanted to retrace our steps for those that may have missed some of the sessions this semester, but to sort of create a context for what our 4 panelists tonight will be talking about. Each of them has participated. I believe there's one on the panel who's participated each and every week and has with other semesters prior to this one even. And the rest have participated in all but 1 or 2. So this is what they'll be referencing in terms of takeaways and themes and things that they'll apply to their career search, career preparation. We began the semester with a Career Speaker Series event on careers in banking. And even with that narrow focus, I know I was delighted with the turnout for that one. And it was very appropriate that there was a great turnout because we had people in a variety, 5 different panelists in a variety of different professions within the banking industry. And I'll let our panelists talk about that one. The second week was David Westover from the class of 1972, a good friend of mine, very successful businessman, CEO of Clark Mortensen for many years. You know them on Main Street here next to the Works. David is a strong proponent of all of the different things that it takes to land a successful job search and launch your career. So he walked through a bunch of really practical tips and tools. We had a nice panel, a bunch of my friends actually, who are in the nonprofit sector that were the featured panelists the week after that, talking about the variety of roles within the nonprofit sector. We then moved on to careers in higher ed and had a very diverse panel. It did include President Treadwell, but it also included people who are in student support services and library services and other aspects of what it takes to run an institution of higher ed like Keene State College. The week after that was a great panel on internships and how to secure them, the different types of internships that are available. And we heard from a panelist who got hired immediately upon finishing up her internship a couple of years ago. Careers in journalism was very timely because this economic and health crisis has really hit journalism hard as an industry. We had 5 very distinguished journalists on for that one. Then careers in biology, Dr. C got a panel of young alums who are in different using their biology degrees and training here at Keene State College in a variety of different ways. I found that one particularly fascinating. We had 2 people, 2 of the 5 on the panel are on the front line of the COVID-19 crisis. One directly working with people with COVID-19, the other running tests in the laboratory in North Carolina to determine who has COVID-19 and who doesn't. Following that, 2 weeks ago, we made a pivot, you may recall. We decided that the environment that we're in now and that many of you will enter into when you graduate from Keene State is different than the environment was even 2 months ago in terms of the economy and employment. So we had 5 really awesome panelists, 3 of whom are right here on our team at Keene State College to talk about job and internship search at this time and in the foreseeable future. Very valuable tips and tools for navigating and still succeeding even in this trying time. And then last week, this is one that Daniel had set up before his ski accident. David Bonnet from 93 was on, and I had never met David before. And I was just blown away with his wisdom, I would say is an important word, his groundedness. And he offered some really valuable, for me, I think, tips and tools for just continuing your personal development throughout your career, and to have fun along the way. I think that was a major takeaway of that one. So that's where we've been, and that's what I've asked these 4 panelists tonight to reflect on. Before we go into introductions, just quickly, I am Steve Fortier. I am a proud alum from the class of 1986, as is my wife. And I serve as the Director of External Relations here at Keene State. I work in the President's Office on government relations, community partnerships, and things like that. When Daniel Henderson, my good friend and colleague, had a ski accident back in December, and it was clear he would need some time off, I raised my hand and I it fits perfectly. We're both doing external work. Daniel is our Director of Corporate Relations. So it made sense that I was a natural to hop in and fill in for this semester for the program that Daniel created 7 years ago, and which has happened almost every Tuesday night since 2014. Many students before you have benefited greatly. David Bonnet, who was on last week, said, I wish we had this when I was at Keene State College. It would have helped me a lot in some initial decision making. So with that, I am delighted that we've added this bonus event tonight. It occurred to me toward the end or middle of last week that I knew that there were several students who had participated in many of the Career Speaker Series events this semester, both in person and the virtual ones, and we had to pivot immediately following spring break, and that their insights would be extremely valuable to fellow students and hear what they've gleaned from the participation, what they're thinking about in terms of things they've learned along the way, and how that might apply to their either finishing up at Keene State College, moving into career, and even out into the long term. How do they view things maybe differently as a result of participating in this series? So without further ado, I'd love to introduce the panel. Misty, if you could throw up the next slide. Heather, I apologize. I think I got your class year wrong. So if when you introduce yourself, if you could clarify, but I believe you are 21 and I put in the wrong number. So panelists, could you please introduce yourself, your major, your class year, and anything else you'd like the participants on tonight's event to know about you. Heather, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Heather, and I'm actually going to be done with my undergraduate education in a couple of weeks. So I'm graduating soon in May. I'm a biology and Spanish double major with the hopes of becoming a veterinarian. Specifically, I want to be a cat specialist. So just work with cats, meow meows. I live in Keene, New Hampshire, so I'm a townie. I actually walk my dogs on campus every day, so I get to check it out. Still thriving, all the flowers are beautiful. So, yeah.
Thank you, Heather. Who'd like to go next? Thanks, Tatiana.
Hi, I'm Tatiana Joaquin. My graduation year is 2020. I'm graduating in December. I'm kind of a non-traditional student. I got my associate's degree at a community college and then I transferred here. I'm a biology major and I'm looking forward to graduating, and then I'm not entirely sure what I want to do yet, if I want to go to grad school eventually, but I think to start I want to get a job working in a lab somewhere and see where that takes me. Thank you.
Thanks, Tatiana. And Tatiana, I believe, if I'm correct, you have been to every event this semester, is that right? And you've participated in previous semesters too, I believe.
Yeah, yes, I have.
Great.
It's been really good to have these as part of my experience here at Keene State College.
Great, we look forward to hearing more about that, Tatiana. Thank you. Who's up next? Thanks, Jordan.
I'll beat you to it, Jace. So my name's Jordan. I'm a junior, and I'm a secondary ed bio major, and I have a lot of like different pathways I could take when I graduate. I've been thinking about like doing my extra grad year at Keene, but I've also thought about like using my biology degree after I graduate, maybe in like wildlife conservation, or like I can go straight into teaching when I'm finished. I haven't really decided yet, so yeah.
Yeah, you've got a lot of options with that combination. And Heather, did you say that's your double major as well?
No, I'm biology and Spanish double major. Spanish is just because I feel it's very important as an individual to speak another language and to learn about another culture. I would have to say that my study abroad experience in Sevilla, Spain was probably the best experience of my life. And I feel like I can immerse myself in another culture and feel completely comfortable with learning about who they are as a people. And I feel that everybody should probably take on another language.
Well said. Yeah, excellent. So Jace, introduce yourself, please.
I am Jace Cass. I am graduating in 2021. I am also a biology and secondary education major. And at the moment, post-graduation, I'm leaning more towards alternative educational paths, so something along the lines of like an educational program in zoos or aquariums that works more, I guess, with the biology sense.
Nice. Yeah, great thoughts. For those of you that are participating tonight with us, please use the Q&A feature at any point in time. My good friend and colleague, we have one comment already, cats, yay, for Heather. Please use the Q&A feature. Let us know any questions along the way, and my good friend and colleague Mark will be watching those for us, and he'll toss them out periodically, and we'll certainly have plenty of time at the end as we have each week to make sure we've cleaned out the Q&A box before we depart at 7:15. So thank you in advance for letting us know what you'd like to know from these amazing panelists. So for each of the four of you, as you look back at the series, look back on the series as a whole, what were a few themes that you sort of weave together? Maybe not in all, I don't know, was that 11 or so, but common themes that despite the topic, it might have been different, quite different from week to week, but you saw a theme emerge throughout or through many of them. What were, if you did, what were some of those themes? And we'll, in future questions, we'll delve into that a little more deeply and what does that mean for you? Anyone want to get us started on that one? Jace, thank you.
So one theme I pieced together through a lot of these talks is follow your passion and don't stay in a setting you don't enjoy. Like obviously if you don't have the ability to move on and find a different job in that time, like you can't do that. But if you have the ability to, go into a workplace or even follow your dream of travel instead, just follow what seems right to you at the time, because it's just better to do it now, especially when a group of us were younger, we have the time to do that. So to do that now, and if you find you don't like it, you can always go back, try other things out, but mostly just making sure you take the time to explore and find what's the right fit for you and not staying in one place.
Thank you. Thank you. That was a surprise to me. I was thinking about career launch, that term even, and even hearing David Bonnet say that last week, that take some time for adventure. And if you remember, he turned his adventure into his first job at Oracle, right? His adventure was traveling across the country, literally the day after he walked across the stage at Keene State and got himself to San Francisco, where he launched a very successful career in software. So thank you, Jace. Others? Heather, thanks.
So a couple of the themes that I found running through a lot of the different panels that I went to was that networking is really important, especially now in your undergraduate years. So you really need to utilize the tools that are offered to you, such as LinkedIn and your professors. because what with networking, it can help get you a job in the future. One of the panelists, it was David Westover. He was talking about how his coach from one of his sports teams got him his job, and it was really cool because he ended up staying at Liberty Mutual for a very long time, and then he moved on and he gave us all free maple syrup, so that was cool. Aside from just networking that way to get a job, it also helps you get personal references, so that way you can make connections and find out new areas of interest. Some other things we talked about were your digital identity, because future jobs are definitely going to Google you. So you want to make sure that there's not terrible things of you out there on the internet. You want to make sure that your public and private accounts are professional. We also talked about building yourself up a lot, which I found really important, especially with undergrad research opportunities, internships, and extracurricular activities. All are helpful in improving your soft skills, which are very important. And we talked a lot about resumes and building that up and making sure you keep it up to date, as well as utilizing resources offered to you, such as the Career Speaker Series, academic and career advising, as well as your advisors and professors. So that's kind of what I gleaned from it. Basically, use the people around you while you can, because it's going to help you so much in the future.
Yeah, we definitely heard that week to week, the nonprofit panel, the banking panel. Clearly, that was very important for David launching his career. Internships even that came up. So thank you, Heather. Others on that one? Tatiana.
Yeah, I'd say the main theme that I've seen through every one of these is networking is key, and to start sooner rather than later. Because in every one of these, people have gotten a job through a network. The opportunities kind of just presented themselves because they knew someone. So basically, just kind of put yourself out there, get to know someone, go for coffee with them once this coronavirus thing is over. Email back and forth, just kind of take the time to get to know other people. That's what I got from it.
Tatiana, from the various events that, of course, you were at all of them, so you heard a bunch of different examples, but can you recall networking is sort of a big thing, right? Like, so is that my neighbor? Is that, who of the different panelists, what were a few examples of what that meant, to network? Like with who, what type of person, not by name, but do you recall some people talking about?
Just networking professionally with, professors, people who share common interests with you. You can do that via Twitter, LinkedIn. Yeah, like Heather had mentioned, David Westover, his coach, got him a job. Basically, these people just put themselves out there. They showed that they were compassionate about what they wanted to do, and people saw that in them.
Great, thank you. Jordan, Jace? Jordan.
Yeah, one of the themes that I just mostly took on from all of the speakers was basic overall preparation.
Mm-hmm.
Making sure that you've filled out a resume before, and you've written a cover letter before, you've just had basic experience with some of that stuff, whether it's going to the career academic and advising, or talking to one of your professors. And basically another theme I picked up was not to be afraid to put yourself out there. If you want to go work in a lab somewhere, or you really want that job, don't be afraid to go in there and talk with somebody and schedule a meeting, or basically just not holding yourself back.
Jace? Jason, any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, so another theme we the other people touched on, I guess, is you kind of just need to know what's going on when you're going to be, especially when we're doing our internships and applying and all that. You kind of just need to be aware and on your A game. You just can't be at the point where day before the interview you're just kind of researching the company. stuff like that. So you just need to be, I guess, build yourself up around knowing the company, knowing like what type of questions you may be asked, getting and touching base with other people who were either worked with the company or knows how a similar type of company. Just making sure you're on top of your game, basically, like you're fully prepared.
Excellent. We'll circle back to that, Jason, and others toward the end, and we talk about any tips and tools you would have for others. We'll get into that one a little bit more, as I think I agree, Jace. That was definitely a theme that I picked up on as well throughout. Before we go into sort of tips and tools for others, I'd love to hear from the four of you. How do you see yourself applying whatever a key learning or learnings multiple were for you? How do you see that see yourself applying them as you move into your career, whether that's soon in the months ahead for those of you graduating in May and December and the others next May? What's a particular lesson or two or three that you put a star next to, or you put up on your fridge and said, I've got to do this, or do more of it, or stop doing something, as Heather said, you got to clean up, we need to have make sure our social media feeds are professional and all. So maybe it's things we're going to stop doing, but what is it that came to you as sort of an aha, like, I need to do this? Go ahead, Jordan.
I would say like a lot of the people who spoke talked about like making sure before you graduate, like having some base level experience, like maybe like an on-campus job, like working in a research lab, or like aiding with another professor, or being a TA like in a class that you did really well in. So that way, when you graduate and you go into like a job that you're really looking forward to, you have some base experience like working in the professional world.
Yeah, we certainly heard that one on the panel of alums from your major, right? That biology one was, I think the young biology alums made that one really.
Yeah, they like talked a lot about just like connecting to professors that are like in your major, or like whether that's like your advisor, and like seeing what opportunities are out there for you like while you're still in school.
Others? What was an aha for you, or ahas plural, Jace?
One I had from David last week. He brought up the point about finding people who are like in the company you're applying to, or know how that company works. I found really interesting, actually really useful, because if you're going into a company and like it can look great on the outside, I mean, companies can do an awesome job of making themselves look great, and then you get there and you start working and you just find that it isn't the right fit for you, and you weren't aware of that because you just didn't know the inner workings of the company. I think that's a big thing that you can, especially me, I'm going to work on finding people who are in that company, around that company, who can just tell me more about it and help me prepare for it. Especially the fact that also a lot of companies hire based off if someone recommended you inside of itself already. Like I worked retail now, but before the whole disease crisis took place, I only got my job because someone that worked there recommended me. They just kind of straight up told me that on my orientation day. They said, you're all here because you got recommended, which just brings that's really curious thought to me, that you kind of just either need to have a recommendation or just really know the company well to get that foot up to get hired and be successful.
Right. Thank you. And so the story that Jace is referring to, so first of all of the virtual events, so since, when was that, March 21st, I think we came back from spring break, or every event that we've done virtually has been recorded. So you can go to the Academic and Career Advising YouTube channel. We'll have a link for that at the end of tonight's discussion. But where David tells the story, so keep in mind, Jace, that he drove from Keene, New Hampshire to San Francisco. So unlike the networking that's been referred to already, when he got to San Fran, all he had was Dr. Perchansky back here. So the networking he did, he seems like a pretty cool guy. I can kind of picture him sitting in a bar saying, where do you work? Oh, that sounds really cool. Tell me more. So David had no experience with software at all. And as he said last week, he's not even written a line of code to date. And he's the CEO of many different software companies. So, so in that sense, Jace, as you recall, David's networking was more, he got to San Francisco and was obviously needing a job. So he just started talking with people. Where's a cool place to work for a young professional who has these interests? And so networking is absolutely, I think we heard week after week, building strong relationships with the people in your life, your professors, your advisor, the person in the lab that you're helping out in your cases, teammates, coaches, things like that. But also, we need to continue to build those networks even after college. And that certainly served David Barnett really well when he got to San Francisco, just his ability to network on the spot. All right, who haven't we heard from on that one? I've lost track. Heather, go ahead.
An aha moment for me really was when the idea of soft skills kept occurring throughout multiple of the speaker series. So soft skills such as communication, interpersonal skills, customer service, stuff like that. Just makes you personable and a good employee, showing up on time, going above and beyond. Those are really important, and I think a lot of people forget about them, and people forget to include them on their resume or discuss them in the cover letter and how they are an asset to a career. And I think people should pay more attention to that and how they can utilize those skills to make them, to basically upsell themselves and make themselves look like the best candidate.
Right, absolutely. And some of that I think we heard from David Westover in week 2, but then others as well. David Barnett even last week. That also has to shine through in your cover letter. Bring your personality out, right? And your values and those soft skills, that they even appear, if you're intentional about it, in your cover letter, your resume, certainly in your interview, right? I think that came through loud and clear. Heather, go ahead.
Yeah, I really liked the Transitioning into the Workforce by David Westover. His presentation was really awesome because he basically, since he used to teach at the college as an adjunct professor, he took one of his lectures and basically squished it together for us. And it was really great on showing us how to build a resume, how to build a cover letter, and he talked about going into the interview and about leading the interview. And I actually wrote a blog post about it. So if you wanted to follow that on Twitter at HAS6595, you can find my tweets about all my blog posts in that one specifically. But it was a really good lecture that I appreciated, and I feel like that was a really good overview of a lot of the topics and themes that we went on to discuss in the other career speaker series.
Thank you. Yeah, that was very intentional to have that early on so that all of the others could build off of those basic building blocks. And as you said, Heather, you'll hear this a lot throughout the evening, but the academic and career advising section of our Keene.edu website has all kinds of samples and examples and tips and tools on all of that, from creating a powerful LinkedIn profile to resume writing and cover letters and all of that, interviewing. And of course, the staff is readily available, even in this virtual environment, to have conversations with you and help you build out that toolbox for yourself. Tatiana, how about for you? What were some key takeaways for you that you can see yourself applying to your life going forward?
Well, one of the main things I kind of took away was that every professional has been in our position. Everyone was a recent graduate at one point. Companies understand that we're not, perfect or know completely what we're doing going into the job. We're going to need training. And I think I've kind of relaxed a little bit, because for a while I was stressing out. There's going to be other candidates that know more, who have more qualifications, but people do hire new graduates, and it might not be your dream job to start, but just getting your foot in the door is what's important. And So basically, I'm gonna try to just get my foot in the door and learn and grow and gain skills where I can and bring them with me. So if I do end up getting my dream job, I'll have skills that I can utilize in the future.
Thank you, Tatiana. Is that everyone on that question? I lost track. Yeah, we heard from all four of you on that one. Thank you. So I got my little cheat sheet here. And a reminder to all of our participants, please, please, please feed some questions to this wonderful panel. We need to know what you want to hear. I've developed some generic questions, but let us know, and you can, if it's for a particular panelist or a couple, let us know that by name. If it's just for all four of them to take a stab at, just leave it generic and put the question out that you have on your mind. Please get yourself engaged with us. But in the meantime, for the panelists, stepping back from your own life and career prep that we just talked about, based on your experiences throughout the events this semester, if you are one of the panelists now, so it's yours. What do you recommend for your peers that are on tonight's event? What are a couple of the tips and tools that you would share with them as they get ready for successful career launch? And feel free to go in more depth, something you've already sort of hinted at. Heather, go for it.
So right now is kind of a crazy time. We all know that. But going forward, I think the biggest thing is to just stay positive and keep trying. Even if you don't get your dream job initially, you may find that your second option you love even more. So just getting your toes wet in a variety of different fields might give you the experience that you need to find out what you truly love. Because right now I really want to be a veterinarian. I want to be a cat specialist and save all the cats. But maybe while I'm working on my DVM, which is a doctorate in veterinary medicine, maybe I'll fall in love with chimpanzees and go work at a zoo. So you have to keep your options open, stay positive, keep learning always. And as you move forwards, just try to determine who you are and what you love and aim for that.
Awesome. Yeah, Jordan.
Honestly, one of the biggest tools that I learned about throughout the whole series was the Career and Academic Advising Center. Before, I didn't really know how much they could help in any given situation, but when we had one of the faculty members come to our junior seminar class, and she was so helpful. There's so many example resumes and cover letters for every single major and minor that you could think of, and how to lay it out to make sure that you're seen among everyone that applies. And I found that one of the most helpful things about the whole series, to be honest.
Yeah, amazing resources right here. And I'm glad that that's a takeaway for you, Jordan, and I'm sure many others.
Yeah, and you can set up an appointment, and they'll always be there to help you out.
Right.
Along even if it was for a specific job, they'll sit down with you and help you write out the cover letter and everything like that. And so I think that's super helpful.
Absolutely. And as I said earlier in the final slide, we'll have a link to their section of our website. And as they've stressed each week, they're available for appointments just virtually now, but they're still available to help talk you through whatever it is that you could use some help with. So thanks for pointing that out, Jordan. Others? Go ahead, Tatiana.
So my recommendation would be do something with your spare time, whether it's, a part-time or less than part-time job, volunteering, doing an internship, or working in a lab. Do something that shows that you're making an effort to make yourself more well-rounded. Sports, kind of something to show that you can work with other people in some capacity, because employers will look for that.
Yeah, that was definitely another theme that came through. And there's one particular moment I can remember when Alex Henkel, the CEO of electronic imaging, electronic, oh goodness. Anyway, it's on the YouTube channel, having a spacey moment. But he was saying, and he was one of the few non-alums of Keene State on the series, but we had him on because he hires a lot of Keene State students as interns, and many of them have landed full-time jobs following graduation. And I can recall his, I think there's a direct quote, but he said, "We can train you in any job here. What I want to know is, can you work as part of a team?" And we asked, what might that look like? What are you looking for? He said, it might be a church youth group that you've been part of, in your teen years, a club that you've been part of at Keene State College. He said, an athletic team, like Tatiana said. So think about it. I mean, you still have to have a nice cover letter and resume. You still have to present yourself well in the interview. But at the end of the day, that's what he was looking for. And I don't think that was unique. I think we heard that from other people throughout the series as well. We can train you to do the job. Are you a critical thinker, good communicator in all ways, and a good team member? Those are some of the things I think I heard consistently. Would you agree, Tatiana?
Yeah, I would. Definitely.
Okay, thank you. And who else? Jace, thank you.
So kind of a two-part one, and stemming off what Jordan said, just going back to like the resume in the resume cover letter, just having the basics built up, because you could be super qualified for the job, but if you don't have a good resume or your cover letter, there's spelling mistakes, anything along those lines, the company's gonna glance right over your resume, your job application, not even look at it. So just using the resources we have on campus, they're super important. And then going off of that too, just keep applying places. Right now it is an uncertain time. We don't know what's going to happen. We may not get, like, internships may just not run in general, but you just got to keep applying to give yourself that chance that if the one you want to get to is still running, or if you end up getting it, that's great. If not, you just got to keep going to places until you find something that fits. So it's better just to give your chance than no chance at all.
Excellent. All right. Anything else on that one? Thank you. Mark, let me check in. Do we have any questions in the Q&A box for the panelists?
Sorry, Steve. Little technical glitch there. Just a lot of love to the Career and Academic Center, Academic and Career Advising Center. I guess I would follow up and ask the panelists about what they heard about from all the sessions about what their Keene State College education will provide. If they heard some common themes around that, what some of the advantages are.
Thanks, Mark. Who wants to tackle that one first? Go ahead, Heather. Thank you.
So the advantage of a Keene State College education. Wow. So I actually transferred in when I was a junior. I transferred from Assumption College in Worcester, Massachusetts. It's a private Catholic college. And I just have to say that transferring to Keene State was the best decision I could make for my academics, like, ever. I loved Assumption, but I have to say my professors here at Keene State College are more empathetic, and I have found them to be more knowledgeable in their fields. All of my professors have been extremely helpful in helping me work towards my goals and figuring out what exactly it is I want to do with my life. The assignments are difficult, but they help you every step of the way. And I find that with such a strong academic support system here at Keene State, I have been more successful than I would have been at Assumption College. And not only are my professors beyond outstanding, but the faculty at Keene State are really great as well. For example, my Physics 2 lab professor this semester is a faculty member, and she's awesome. She's hilarious, she's extremely helpful, and she always gives me great advice, not only on our labs, but also in lecture. So I found that my greatest resource really, and the best part about Keene State, are the professors themselves, because they love what they do and they've given me so much information and knowledge that I feel like I'm going to be really prepared when I go into the real world.
Thank you, Heather. Fantastic. Really nice to hear. Anyone else? Heather, let me just ask if for anyone, I know we invite River Valley Community College students on each week as well. We've been doing that since they co-located at the beginning of the year. And for their sake, one potential benefit of that partnership is that it's easier for River Valley students to just continue on if they see that would help them on their path to the career that they're envisioning for themselves. But that is a transition. It's still one school to another. How did you find the transition from Assumption to Keene State in other ways, not just academic, but the social aspect, the finding relationship building aspect?
Well, I'm a townie, so I don't live on campus. I never lived on the dorms on campus.
Mm-hmm.
I never joined any extracurricular activities because I had a bad experience with those at Assumption College.
Mm-hmm.
I did do, I was a teaching assistant for statistics, which was really fun. I did that for 2 semesters. I found that connecting with my professors was what made me feel like part of the community here, because I am an introvert and I don't really go out much. So academics was basically my whole life, but socially, I don't know, it was hanging out with my statistics kids and getting to know them, and having the study sessions together was really great. And actually Tatiana was one of my students that I tutored. And so when her and I ended up in a class together, it was awesome. And now we're friends, and I think that's going to last for several years onwards, and probably forever. So it's good. I don't know. I feel like it was easier to connect. People here are nicer. I don't know. It's different going to a private college and then going to a state college. I don't know. The people here are just nicer, I feel like, than the people at my other college.
Thanks. It's a pretty neat week. So I've been here on staff for coming up on 3 years soon. But before that, I was just an active alumni volunteer, and I had 2 children here, and they graduated in 14 and 15. I was president of the Parents Association at one point in time, and I loved that the thing we heard most from both parents and students was that we're so friendly. And I would always say, what do you mean by that? Because I don't know any other way to operate, right? So, and they would say, well, wherever we go, students open the door for us. And yeah, that's what we do, right? So for me, it's easy to sell Keene State because it's such a welcoming environment, I think, and I'm glad to hear that you found it that way, even transferring in after a couple of years somewhere else. If I can pick up on a theme Heather mentioned, because we did hear this, I can remember Sarah from the biology panel. I've always thought of this extracurricular activity thing as, so I was an athlete. I ran all 3 seasons, cross country, indoor, and outdoor track in a fraternity. And I was thinking that's what people meant by extracurricular. And I thought Sarah was the lab tech down in North Carolina for you that were on that one. I thought she said something really valuable to me about the importance of of part-time work outside of your field. And Jace, I think you mentioned you're in retail and all. And she told a story about an interview question that she got. and how important that experience was. Does anyone remember that one? Jace, do you happen to remember that one? Because I not to put you on the spot, but can anyone remember what she was saying was how it helped her in that interview question? So what Sarah, and I apologize, I'm not remembering her last name at the moment. The person she was interviewing with asked about managing conflict in a group. And she said, oh yeah, I've done that. I was working in retail and one of my team members was consistently late for work. And I had to address that because it was having an impact on our team and all. And so I guess we can get that on a sports team. We certainly will get that in a group that we're part of because that's a natural part of a group's evolution. But it made me realize that, and I also had to work through college to help pay for it. But it helped me realize that there was a lot to glean from those part-time jobs as well. Even for me, it was mop crew in the dining commons at the end of each meal. But certainly there were some things there that I could take away and apply to my life as well. What else? What else are you thinking about that you would recommend? Did we lose someone? Mark and Misty, if you can text me if we lost one of our panelists.
Yeah, Jordan seemed to drop off. I've been looking for, so
Hey,
keep on going.
hope that Jordan can come back. We had a question to Tatiana. I believe did you transferred in as well, and someone was wondering about your experience with that transition.
Yeah, I transferred from Mount Wachusett Community College. I'm a commuter right now. I live in Jaffrey. I don't live on campus. I have my own apartment in Jaffrey. The first semester coming here was really weird because I didn't know anyone. Everyone was kind of younger than me because I had to take some first year classes to kind of catch up with that awkward transition state. But I did meet Heather because I took statistics my first year here. So that was nice to meet someone a little older and connect. And then I started having classes with people I would see regularly and talking to them, getting to know them, sitting with them in the student center. People that I work with go here, so I would see them on campus because it's not a huge campus. You can still see people you know in passing. I'm not part of any clubs or anything. I don't really have time for that because I work full time. So I definitely like it here a lot. There were some other colleges I was accepted to somewhat locally, but I chose King State because the professors I heard a lot of good things about, and they've held up to that. The campus is really nice. I like just walking around it in the springtime, so I'm kind of bummed that I didn't get to do that this year. And yeah, just the people here. There's definitely a different feel in Keene. It's got that like small town feel, and they really make you feel at home here, even if you don't live on campus.
Absolutely. You can come in and walk campus anytime, Tatiana.
Yeah.
Appian Way is still open for business.
Yeah, I'll make the half-hour drive.
Yes, yes. We live in a beautiful small town too. So speaking of that, so David made very clear last week that he not only told his own story, but he put out as a one of his main recommendations was think about where you want to live as part of that. And as I think about it, a famous author in work, Happiness, Richard Leider, that's one of his 4 pillars as well. As you're thinking about yourselves and your career launch, have you considered the place as part of that where you might like to live without necessarily naming the place you're thinking of, but is that a consideration for you? Or is it more about wherever I can find meaningful work? Jace, thanks.
Yeah, so job search for the future. I've been looking more towards educational programs and things like zoos, aquariums, stuff along those lines. And I think part of it for me when I've been looking at these things is the facility itself. Obviously, like, is the workspace good, especially if it's gonna be like a zoo or aquarium where the animals treatable, all that. I think secondly, it's really looking at, can I imagine myself living in that area and enjoying myself? I used to work at a zoo. I'm from Longmeadow, so I used to work in a zoo in Springfield, Mass, and loved it there. It was an awesome experience, but I couldn't just see myself staying in that area for too long. Like, Longmeadow is very nice, don't get me wrong, but it's also very quiet. So like that wasn't for me. One place I've been looking into that I really enjoy, I've been to, is the one in Washington D.C. Their zoo there. And that area, like, yeah, it's very busy, but once you kind of leave the city part, it's a lot more suburbs. And like, they're nice. You have the suburb aspect, and it's nice and it's more quiet. But you also have that, if you want kind of that city aspect, you can get both. So I think it is important to kind of imagine yourself where you can be. Like, give yourself a few options, obviously, because not everywhere is going to accommodate. But just finding a couple options of places you may want to live, and then seeing if you can find the right type of job for you there, I think is an important part, because you can have your dream job. If you're living somewhere you're not going to enjoy, odds are it's going to take a toll on your job. You're not going to enjoy the job as much at the end of the day.
Right. So Jace, I hear you saying not any particular place in the U.S. or in the world, but a more urban environment is something you're looking for, some of that stimulation of big city life, but being able to get out of it at the same time. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I mean, it's also tough being an education major because other countries just have completely different certification tracks and how you teach. So that's its own issue in its own that can be addressed separately. But yeah, I definitely think kind of that urban to suburban mix is something I would enjoy. Yeah.
Well, I happen to know, and I'll say his first name as well, since there's two Professor Sturtzes, but Professor John Sturtz obviously has some experience with international education policy. So lean on him a bit on that one, that he can help you find a path. So anyone else on that one? Yes, Heather, thanks.
So I have been very lucky in my lifetime. I've been able to travel to South America and to Europe. So I've gotten to experience a lot of different stuff. When I was in El Salvador, I was staying in a tiny, tiny little town, just like plopped on the side of a mountain somewhere, Talnique. It was awesome. But then when I was in when I was in Spain, I was in Sevilla, and it's a huge city. And I think I've decided that I definitely want to live somewhere more rural, and I never want to live in a city again. But I think choosing somewhere to live is a really important aspect when you're looking at jobs, because if you're not happy and you don't like the environment, or you're allergic to the trees, you aren't going to survive there very long. So my plan right now is I need to go get my DVM. So I'm thinking either Colorado, Florida, Georgia, or North Carolina, because they all have vet schools. And then after that, I'm thinking South America to do TNR programs for a while. And then I'll just travel the world until I have to settle down. And then I'll probably settle down in New England, because it's where I was born and raised. I like the streets.
Great. So for those on the event, with us tonight, I think just hearing those are great stories of thinking through not only your career, but where you apply your passion and your skills, and having that all be part of what's swirling around and helping you to find some clarity on what it is you'd like to do, and help narrow the field of potential opportunities, so you can match up both where you would like to be with what you'd like to be doing at the same time. Mark, I'm cognizant of the time, so let me toss it back to you. Any other questions waiting out there?
Just another reminder from the academic and career advising that appointments and resources are open to the class of 2020 through May of 2021. So even once you graduate, that you still have more time to utilize them for, you know, all of the resources that they can bring to bear, and what some of the panelists have already talked about tonight. And having also seen many of these, I would just see if some of the panelists had any remarks about you know, the value of a liberal arts education, if they see that as a positive when they're leaving Keene State, or in this age where people are asking for more and more specialization. It really shows, you know, people who choose to come to Keene State still hopefully value a liberal arts education. I don't know if any of the panelists have anything that they want to add to that.
Thanks, Mark. Jordan.
First, I just want to say sorry, my computer crashed and kicked me out of the Zoom. So yeah.
Welcome back.
Yeah. I know it sounds like such like a sponsorship to be like, oh, I love Keene and all this stuff, but Keene like really is like great, and the professors are awesome, and the liberal arts like education really gives you like experience in subjects that you would have never like glanced upon if you had went to like a traditional like university, or like somewhere where it was like only your major specific. But like right now I'm like in a human trafficking class, and like I'm learning stuff that I would have never learned just by taking my bio and education courses, which is so like relevant in today's world to like, especially if in like the teaching field, to like know more than just your subject, I think is really like good to have like in your back pocket.
Yeah, fascinating. Anyone else on that one? Yeah, thanks, Heather.
I specifically chose to come to a liberal arts college because, well, number one, my majors are very, very different, Spanish and biology. And so in order to encompass that, I had to go to a liberal arts college. And also I find that the extra courses that they have you take are really important because they build up your soft skills, they build up your communication skills, your writing skills, and they're all basically essential for becoming a well-developed individual that can be successful in society. It's not just about being able to label test tubes, it's about being able to function in a society with people of different backgrounds, different histories, and different points of view. And if you aren't cohesive in that society, there's going to be a lot of disruption and anger and unhappiness. So liberal arts education kind of gives you a balance of all the aspects of life, and it gives you skills that you can use basically anywhere.
And we certainly heard that from throughout the series this semester. We had, including the nonprofit panel, bankers certainly, David as the CEO of a company. We had several people who hire people, and I loved that that was a consistent theme. And like you started with, Jordan, it was nothing we prompted them on. It was nothing we said, you know, we'll bring you on as long as you say this. That was all on their own, and they truly were authentically talking about the value. Again, going back to, you know, I'm thinking of Alex Henkel, Electronic Imaging Materials, got the name, the CEO of that company, but many others who said, again, I can train someone who has a big heart, a big brain, a lot of passion, good reliable skills, and a willingness to learn. So again, I think that does describe what it is that we do here and did long ago. I mean, my whole life has benefited from my experience here from 1981 to 1986 as well. Mark, any other questions waiting for us? Panelists, anything you want to ask of each other? Heather.
I just wanted to say that I miss you, Tatiana, and I'm sad that we don't have class together.
Beautiful.
Miss you too.
Beautiful. We'll all get together again. So my final question, I think, would be, because it is a tip and a tool, the term informational interviewing came up a few times. And to be very honest, that was new to me. Like, this is not what I do. And I've been in the workforce for a long time and just sort of followed a path. So that term was new to me. Can anyone explain to your classmates what that meant? Because I found it like internships and participating in activities. I found that to be like a foundational thing that we can all do before the big day, before we go to apply for that dream job. Can anyone recall one or more of the panelists using that term and what they meant by that? Putting you on the spot, but Heather, thanks.
So I definitely remember people using that term, and basically what I gleaned from these talks is that an informational interview is basically where you're calling up somebody within the company. You've obviously pre-established this, and like you've been talking to them through email, you've established some sort of basis with them, aka networking, and you basically talk to them about the company, you find out about the company, what it's like working there, how long they've worked there, what they like, what they don't like, and then they offer you just a lot of information about the company itself, what it's like working there, and about tips on how to apply and what they're looking for. So it's not like an interview because you're doing the asking of the questions, and it is basically a way for you to show interest in the company because blam, there you are, you're calling, you're asking, you are showing initiative. And then you also have a connection within the company that can be like, oh yeah, I know that applicant, you should hire her. And then 3, you are gathering information about the company that you can then use in the actual interview to show the person that's going to hire you that you actually care. So it kind of gives you a good basis or a jumping board to start off with before you actually apply or go in for an interview.
Well said. That was a great summary. Anyone else want to add to that? Thanks, Tatiana.
So yeah, basically with the informational interview, you can kind of present yourself without formally applying somewhere, but also you can see if this company will be a good fit for you or not. And you're not making that commitment to apply and go through the whole process. You can just kind of get a feel for the environment. And if you do think in the future you'd want to apply there, then you can go forth and do that.
Great, thanks, Tatiana. The other thing I think it was my fraternity brother Jim McLeod, maybe, on the COVID-19 panel, was also suggesting you can identify people even through LinkedIn, not necessarily at the company you're eyeing or you're thinking about or you'd love to be hired at, but maybe another company in the field, and just learn a little bit more about the field in general, not necessarily the company. I think ultimately, I was just glancing down at my notes, and I want to reiterate a word that a few of you have used tonight that we heard repeatedly throughout the semester, and that is culture, right? So an informational interview, as well as digging right through a company's website, and anything you can do to find out about them, their social media presence, you get a sense of their culture. And I know that that's a term that Dr. Akur uses a lot in her communications classes, but that really is about the fit. Does this company align with my values, my vision, my mission? Do I align with theirs? And making sure that that fit is there to the best extent possible. And an informational interview can help you to determine that if it is with people in the company. But that informational interviews also have a purpose just to learn a little bit more about what does the field entail. The biology one, right, would be a great example. There were 5 alums who graduated already with the degree that the 4 of you will, and think of how different the 5 of them have applied that degree, each in a unique way that fits with what they were looking to accomplish in life. And so again, and within a company culture that excites them, where they wake up in the morning and can't wait to get to work. So that was a takeaway of me. Do your homework, learn as much as you can about the company, learn as much about what a day looks like. So I'm thinking of the difference again on the biology panel between Jamie, who I can picture is on her feet at this point, probably 12 to 15 hours a day, not 8, right? Being on the front lines at a hospital in Burlington, Vermont. And I can see that Sarah is probably sitting at a desk for much of her time in her lab down in North Carolina. Which are you looking for? You looking to be active? You okay being more sedentary? So all those things are about the match. So that sort of is my final thing to add, to what you shared tonight, that I took away being with each of you throughout the semester with the various panels. Mark, I'm going to take one last look to see if there's anything else for us.
I think that's it, Steve.
Thank you, Mark. So any final comments from any of the panelists? Any departing words of wisdom for your classmates? Jace, thank you.
So more in terms of next semester, as I just go to as many career speakers as you can, because I found they're kind of like a puzzle and they all kind of build off one another. So like in terms of like we have one on internships. Okay, that's great. I know how to build my resume and do an internship, but then building off of that, having different companies come in and talking about that, how it looks to apply to a company, all that I think is useful, and they all kind of build off each other. So the more you can go to, the better. The more you learn, the better idea of what it looks like post graduation, or even when you're still in college and applying different internships or jobs, stuff like that.
Thank you, Jace. Jordan?
Yeah, I kind of basically just learned from the whole thing that like the future isn't as scary as it seems, basically. And like the career speaker series kind of helped me ease my mind about what I wanted to do, and that it's like, okay, you could take multiple paths to like what you want to do in life, and that's okay to like figure it out as you go along.
Absolutely. And you'll have people around you to help you with that, right, Jordan? Beyond your family. We'll always be here. I was thinking as Mark asked the question or made the statement rather about ACA services. I would just say, and then your alumni association, me and 36,000 other people are here for you all the time as well, right? So keep that in mind and use us, keep active. Thank you, Misty, for the panel. So grab a screenshot of this. And Tatiana, I'll get to you in just a second. Saw your hand. I just wanted to encourage participants to take a screenshot or make notes of this. These are 5 very valuable resources, 3 that are internal, but 2 that we learned along the way are very valuable. And I will say, if you're living somewhere else or you envision living somewhere else, not in New Hampshire, just know that this concept of Stay Work Play New Hampshire, but an initiative to attract and retain young professionals to the state. Every state has that initiative now. So if you're looking at Nevada, just go to the Nevada state website. You'll find a way to get connected to other young professionals as mentors, as connections and all that. And then New Hampshire Works is our New Hampshire Employment Clearinghouse. And there are 4 what they call industry sector partnerships, 3 of which are very much related to Keene State College and the degrees we offer. There's one in healthcare, there's one in manufacturing, and there's one in high tech. And so those are specific groups within New Hampshire Works. The other is hospitality for anyone who's thinking about that as a potential career. So other resources. Tatiana, back to you.
Yeah, I was going to say use your resources, and that includes your professors and faculty advisor. Dr. C is not my advisor, but she's still helped me figure out my plans for next semester so I can graduate on time. And just talking to your professors, allowing them to help you, asking questions, and that'll help clear your path a little bit.
Thank you. Absolutely. And we heard from everyone, from Emma, from the class of 2017, who's a on-air journalist on TV, Georgia. She still checks in with Professor Nye on a regular basis, sends clips of her broadcast and asks for feedback. And we heard last week from David Bonnet, 93. He is still in connection with Dr. Perchansky. So Tatiana, those relationships do not have to end. We would love to remain connected. Your faculty members would love to be connected. So keep that in mind. That doesn't end the day you ultimately walk across the stage. Yeah, Misty, if you go to the next slide, please. So we're at a time we agree we'll be done by 7:15. I want to honor that as we do each week. Let me first thank Tatiana, Jace, Jordan, and Heather. This has been wonderful. I appreciate that you shared yourselves and your insights with your peers at Keene State College who maybe couldn't make other events. Of course, we recorded this, so it'll be valuable to students long beyond tonight for many, many years. So thank you very much for your contributions. Great to see you all on the screen since I haven't been able to in person for a while. And for the rest of you, for everyone here, seniors, as an active alum, I am so excited to be with you on October 3rd. I look forward to that. My wife and I will be at our station we've been at for over 20 years now for sure, outside of Morrison Hall. That's our spot to be greeters, and we look forward to seeing you on that day, if not sooner. For those of you returning to campus in the fall, we'll begin the Career Speaker Series a couple weeks in. We'll let you get settled in, and it's my great hope that my good friend and colleague Daniel Henderson will be back, and he'll be the one here in working with you on that series. We look forward to seeing you there. If you have any input on events or topics, I should say, that you would like to see in future Career Speaker Series events, I'll be the conduit for that for now. I'll be talking with Daniel over the summer to make the handoff back to him. So please email steve.fortier@keene.edu if you have topics or themes that you would like to see us explore. And that's what's most important to us, that we're putting events together that are relevant to you and valuable to your ongoing personal and professional development. And other than that, I want to wish you a great summer, and we continue to wish you good health and safety, and we look forward to being with you all in community as soon as we can. So thank you again for being with us. Thank you, panelists, and all take care and be safe.